الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا رأيت الذين يخوضون في آياتنا فأعرض عنهم حتى يخوضوا في حديث غيره وإما ينسينك الشيطان فلا تقعد بعد الذكرى مع القوم الظالمين صدق الله مولانا العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله. For praising Allah, sending peace, blessings upon our Master sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his companions, his wives, his pure family. Allah Azza wa Jalla keep us upon the right path and safeguard us from wrongdoing and falsehood of any kind. The verse from Al-Quran Al-Kareem I recited in Surah An'am, the 6th Surah and verse number 68. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu mentions in this verse that, O followers of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and O listener, when you see those who argue in our verses, who just argue in our verses, then turn away from them until they engage in another topic. And this is to turn us away from futile disputes, useless arguments, and argumentation which brings no benefit. Then he mentions that if the shaitan causes you to forget, then do not sit with the unjust after remembering. In other words, when you see those who are doing wrong, those who are misguided, those who have deviated, those who are on the path of shaitan, then do not sit with them. Do not associate with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding this in Al-Quran Al-Kareem. Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam has also in multiple places mentioned regarding disassociation from deviant people and deviant individuals. Iyyakum wa iyyahum. You stay away from them and keep them away from you. Why has Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam commanded us to do this? Because each and every one of us knows common sense. Like he sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentions, Al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi. Every man is upon the religion of his friend. And if his friend happens to be a good person, a pious person, a rightly guided person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will rub that good effect off onto him as well. That good effect rubs off onto you. And if, on the other hand, your friend and your associate happens to be misguided and deviated, then what will happen ultimately? That bad effect, that bura athar of the sohbah, it will rub off onto you. And there is no doubt in this, the ahadith mubarakah are aplenty in relation to this matter that of associating with misguided people, that the effect, the darkness within them, within their hearts, it will rub onto you. And if you sit with the people of light, then the light of their hearts, it will transfer to you. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, remember, he gave an example of those people who have a good friend and who have a bad friend. And he said the good friend is like an attar, a perfumist. Then when you associate with a perfumist, you will come out from his shop smelling of perfume. You will take on his beautiful fragrance. But on the other hand, he mentioned the bad friend like a lohar, the blacksmith. When you come out to the blacksmiths, you will have all blackness upon you, kalakh. But why is this? It's because of the effect of those people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in another maqam as well, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. That all people who believe, have taqwa, fear Allah and be with those who are truthful. Be with those who are truthful. He's guiding us towards the right people who are rightly guided. And indeed, in the beginning of the book of Allah, when we are praying, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, that, O our Lord, guide us, keep us upon the straight path. when we are praying for the straight path, صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ, that the path of those who you have guided, now you have favored. Who are those who Allah favors? He mentions himself. وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. Allah mentions in Surah An-Nisa. What does Allah mention? He says, whoever obeys Allah and His noble messenger, he will be with those upon whom Allah has bestowed His favor. And then Allah describes who are those who are an'ama Allahu alayhim. Who are those who Allah has favored? He says that means the prophets, the truthful ones, Siddiqeen, after Nabiyeen, Siddiqeen, Shuhada, the martyrs, and then Salihin, the pious people. The pious people, the virtuous. And then Allah mentions, and what excellent companions they are. What good companions they are. In other words, what great companions are these groups? The prophets, the truthful ones, the martyrs, the pious. And this is a command from Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam to associate with those who are upon the path of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in obedience to them. And those who are in disobedience to stay away. And especially this command applies to people of knowledge and people of deen, people who are scholars and imams especially. Why will this apply to them? For instance, if I was to host a gathering in this masjid, and if I was to invite rightly guided scholars who are Ahlul Sunnah, that is good. And if on the other hand I also invite misguided individuals, and if I was to give the misguided people a platform as well, what would this do? Ultimately, what would it do? It would create the impression in the minds of the awam that mashallah, even these individuals are good. That these individuals are good. Mathalan, मैं एक मस्जिद का इमाम हूँ, या कोई आलिम हो, या ऐसा दीनी पेशवा हो, तो वो मजलिस को मुनक्किद करे. और उस मजलिस में वो अहले सुन्नत वल जमात के उलमा को भी दावत दे. और साथ साथ गुमराह लोगों को भी दावत दे. और उनको भी वो प्लेटफॉर्म दे. और उनको कहे जी आप भी बात करें, मैं भी बात करूंगा, और इस तरह की बात हम इस मजलिस में करेंगे. तो इससे क्या असर पड़ेगा अवाम के जहनों में? अवाम उन्नास ये सोचेगी कि माशाल्लाह ये जो दरअसल में गुमराह शख्स है, ये माशाल्लाह ये ठीक है, क्योंकि हमारे कारी साहब जो हैं, हमारे इमाम साहब जो हैं, हमारे मुफ्ती साहब या शेख साहब जो हैं, इनकी हिमायत कर रहे हैं. तो इसका बुरा असर पड़ेगा लोगों पर या नहीं? पड़ेगा जरूर. और वो शख्स दरअसल में हो गुमराह. तो ये खासकर आइमाए दीन और मुफ्तियान हजरात और जो दीन के यानी पेशवा हैं, दीन के मतलब है काम में कोई पोजीशन रखने वाले हैं, तो उन पर ये जरूरी है, लाजिम है कि इन जैसे लोगों से परहेज करना. दिस इज व्हाट आला हजरत इमाम अहले सुन्नत इमाम अहमद रजा खान फाजिल बरेलवी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह, he made this clear in many maqamat of his works, of his books, not to associate with these kind of individuals and to make them a rukn of your gathering, to praise them, to stop people from refuting them, to say to people, anyone who speaks against misguidance, to say, oh please don't, leave them alone, leave everyone alone and just do your own thing. This leaving everyone alone and doing your own thing, it is the worst disease which exists. Because what happens with this, when you leave everyone alone and let them do as they please, then evil spreads and evil and corruption becomes normal. Today somebody is doing wrong, committing haram or openly spreading wrong and false beliefs, and the people of knowledge stay quiet. What will happen? That wrong belief, that wrong ideology will become normalized in the minds of people. That wrong action, that wrong practice will become normal. So these things we have to speak against. And our duty as Muslims, every single one of us, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam mentions, "Ballighu anni walau ayah." Convey from me even if it is one verse. And this command applies to everyone. Every single Muslim is included to be a da'i, to do tabligh, to spread Islam. even if it be one verse. And when Muslims stop commanding good, amar bil ma'ruf wa nahyu anil munkar, and they say leave people to do as they please, then tomorrow those same people, they will go one step further. Then they will go another step further and further and further until all of these wrong actions and wrong beliefs, they become normalized. And this is the disease which is befalling the ummah today. Whereas in the past, the ulama and the mashayikh, they were strict on these matters. As soon as something would appear, they would condemn. They would speak out, this is wrong. And what would happen? People would realize and they would stay away from that wrongdoing. And there are two ways of correcting and rectifying wrongs, public wrongs. One is to refute the ideology. This is indeed one of the best ways, with wisdom, to refute a wrong belief, to refute a wrong idea, to refute a wrong practice without naming individuals. Without naming individuals. जो गलत नजरियात हैं, उनकी निशानदेही की जाए और शख्सियात को निशाना ना बनाया जाए. ये अच्छा और अहसन तरीका है. क्यों? कि इससे वो लोग अवाम नास जानेंगे कि ये जो अकीदे हैं, ये जो अकायद हैं, ये जो अमाल हैं, ये गलत हैं, बुरे हैं. लेकिन साथ साथ किसी को जाती टारगेट और निशाना नहीं बनाना. That you don't attack anyone personally. However, in certain instances, when misguidance is spread openly by individuals and wrongdoing is spread openly by individuals, then in cases in the past, our imams of deen have named people and informed the public. Why? Because the public needs to know. And if somebody is doing it openly, then he ceases to lose that privilege of not being named. If on the other hand, someone is doing it privately in the confines of his own home, for instance, an individual is committing haram, drinking alcohol, committing zina in his private life, then to bring that out would be wrong. But somebody who is propagating this wrongdoing or misguidance, then it becomes a duty upon the people of knowledge to inform others, and then it does not class as backbiting. The next collection which we will do will be for Jumu'ah Speech, madrasa in Pakistan, and this madrasa is for students of knowledge and hufaz, youngsters from Pakistan. They come to study in in the Jumu'ah Speech in Jhelum, Pakistan, and many of these, a number of these be orphans. Some of them come from poor families, and they come to study the deen. And alhamdulillah, the Idara of Qibla Pir Sahib have many competent teachers there, alhamdulillah, and it is a good institute, and we encourage everyone to support this work of deen. So, as I was mentioning in regards to commanding good and forbidding the evil, when Muslims stop, then these things prevail and they become normal, and people begin to seek deen from whoever it is and wherever it is. This is extremely dangerous as well. Imam Ibn Sirin, rahimahullah, one of the imams, greatest imams of our deen. Imam Ibn Sirin, he says, Inna hadha al-ilma deenun. Inna hadha al-ilma deenun. Fandhuru amman ta'khudhuna deenakum. He says, indeed, this knowledge is deen. Ye ilm jo hai, ye deen hai. और तुम गौर फरमाओ, गौर से देखो कि किस शख्स से तुम दीन ले रहे हो. Look very carefully to who you are taking your religion from. In other words, if they are misguided people, then you are taking your religion from them. You will take on those bad things from them. And in another maqam, two individuals once appeared before Ibn Sirin, and they said to him, Ya Shaykh, we would like to recite a verse of Quran to you. He said, no, I don't want to listen. So we will recite hadith to you. He said, no, I don't want to listen. You know, Imam Ibn Sirin, he is one of the greatest imams of this ummah. And in dream interpretation, he has a very high maqam. He has written books on interpretation of dreams. And he was from the early generation, the Salaf, the early generation of Muslims. When these two individuals said, we will read Quran to you, we will read hadith to you, he said, no, go away. And later, some of the students or people, companions around him, they asked him, why did you send them away? They want you to read the Quran? They want you to read Hadith? He said, no, I was fearful that when they mention Quran, when they mention Hadith, then they will mention their wrong, misguided interpretation. And perhaps they will cause that wrong belief or idea to be cast into my heart. So I feared this. I feared their misguidance, so I stayed away from them. And Imam Ibn Sirin was a hafiz of hadith. He knew thousands and thousands and thousands of hadiths of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam of memory. But look, a great shaykh like him is fearful of his iman and saying, I will stay away from these people so that they do not corrupt my faith. But today we see Muslims who barely know the basics are taking deen from anyone and everyone on the internet and elsewhere. Be mindful, dear brothers and elders. This is not the way of the Salaf. Especially, there is also another wrong notion which is spread amongst people, that take the good and leave the bad. People say this sometimes, that I will listen to so and so, but I will take the good and I will leave the bad. Let me tell you, when a person who does not have knowledge and understanding himself, how does he know what is good and what is bad? When you're listening to a misguided speaker, how do you know when he is speaking the haqq and when he is telling you something wrong? And this happens very often. There are certain speakers when they will speak about social issues. They'll say, speak about drugs, speak about alcohol, speak about adultery, speak about street crime, all of which are issues which need addressing and which are necessary to speak on. Speak about marriage, speak about other Islamic issues which everyone agrees with. So people will begin to listen to them. Then that's 95%, and 5% they will start speaking about bid'ah and about shirk, and they will give a distorted understanding. They will say that all these things are bid'ah, which in actual fact are not. Okay? They will say all these things are shirk, when in actual fact they are not. And then the individual who is listening to the speaker, he will be taking on these ideas himself. And what effect that will have on him, he will be unable to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. This is why it is extremely important for us to stick to what is the right guidance from the scholars of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, and to refrain from making deviants pillars in our gatherings, and from praising them and from honoring them and from stopping people from refuting them. This was mentioned by Imam Ahmad Raza Khan rahimahullah in Umur Ishrin, in the 20 matters which distinguish Sunnis from misguided people. In his Fatawa Razawiyah, Umur Ishrin is famous 20 matters. Inshallah, on one Jumu'ah when I have time, I will inshallah take the time out to do a speech on the 20 matters, Umur Ishrin, of Imam Ahmad Raza Khan rahimahullah ta'ala. Coming to another issue which I wanted to mention today, and it is a word issue. Sometimes people object to me, they say, oh, you're an imam of a masjid, you should stick to wuzu, namaz and ghusl. I say, alhamdulillah, I do speak on wuzu, namaz and ghusl. Okay, but at the same time, and about tajweed and about Quran recitation and our fara'id. But at the same time, as Muslims, we need to be aware of what's happening in the world around us. And we need to be aware of what's happening, especially to Muslims. Because a Muslim, remember, whether he's in the east, whether he's in the west, regardless of his skin color, we are all Muslims, we are all brothers. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. We all know very well the oppression, the dhulm that's happening to Muslims in Kashmir, in India, in China, in Yemen, in Palestine, and Syria, and everywhere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assist the Muslims and give them ghaibi madad. Ameen. Because indeed, other than ghaibi madad, we cannot see anyone else. The Muslim armies are all asleep. The Muslim leaders are all asleep. There is no one to answer the calls and the cries of the oppressed. But remember, there is always Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to answer the calls. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers the dua of the Mazloom. And you see this phenomenon, what is happening in China today, that they have imprisoned 3 million Muslims, and they have taken their children away from them, their freedom away from them, their Islam away from them, destroyed their masjids, destroyed their graveyards, tried to destroy their whole religion and tradition. And look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala works in mysterious ways. the Prime Minister of the President of China, Xi Jinping, he said that I will rewrite the Holy Quran, astaghfirullah. I will change it and rewrite it in accordance to communist values. And then he forbade Muslim women from wearing the hijab. Today the Chinese people are all wearing masks. He said that Muslims will be imprisoned. They cannot walk out to their houses without all this CCTV. And look what happens. The Chinese are unable to emerge from their own houses now due to disease. Allahu Akbar. And then he said that Islam is a mental illness which needs to be cured. This is what the Chinese said. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them such a bimari. He gave them such a disease that they don't know what's happened to them. When you play with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with His deen and try to demolish Islam, try to demolish Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy you and demolish you. Many have came before and been destroyed. Look at Ad, look at Samud, look at the ancient people of Hazrat Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam. क्या मजलूम की दुआ कबूल नहीं हुई? बेशक होती है और अल्लाह जरूर सुनता है. And when there are millions of Musliman, are you telling me amongst the Musliman there is not Allah ka wali, even one? Amongst 40 pious Muslims there is one wali of Allah. So how many Musliman in those prisons, in that oppression, they are going to be doing dua? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was zurur sunta hai. And some people then say, oh, two wrongs don't make a right. Why are you wishing bad on the Chinese people? We are not wishing bad on anyone. We are not wishing bad on anybody. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps the world in peace. But we also pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects our oppressed. What was their qusur? The only reason they were oppressed because they were Muslims. Because they wanted to eat halal and practice the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You imprisoned them, you tortured them, you killed them. Then look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deals with. Allah ta'ala mentions وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. That they plot and Allah has a secret plan. And Allah is the best of secret planners. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq to do dua for the oppressed. Amen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala free the Muslims everywhere from oppression. Amen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give hosh to the armies and the leaders of the Muslims to liberate them. Amen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to revive the beloved deen. وصلى الله على حبيبه محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم